Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So, Derek and the day is finally here, at least for me, because they finally did it. When I say they, I mean he, and that's because Armonic79 sent me a work-in-progress FPGA core for Warrior Blade Rastan Saga III. And as long as I've been talking about MiSTer FPGA, I've been telling everyone I cannot wait for the day that I can play Warrior Blade on my MiSTer. Well, that day, at least for me, is here. It'll be for you very shortly. And I totally admit, Warrior Blade is not the best beat-em-up game ever made. When it comes to me personally, it is my absolute favorite beat-em-up game ever made. This thing, from start to finish, from the widescreen aspect ratio, to the incredible soundtrack from Zuntata, to the Sword and Sandals Conan the Barbarian style epic graphics, just 100% hits. This thing is in the back alley, knocking down high lifes and ripping ciggies, and just partying all night long and every day. For lack of a better term, so for me to say I absolutely love this game would be an understatement. It is just one of my favorite arcade games ever made, and trust me, owning an original arcade board sucks because you have to have two screens set up with mirrors and CRTs to even get the thing remotely aligned. That is because back in the day when this arcade cabinet existed out there, and best of luck finding one, it is rarer than hen's teeth. This thing had two different CRT monitors set up with specialized mirrors to basically have a seamless experience with ultra widescreen without actually having any sort of monitor in the cabinet that could do that, because basically that shit just didn't exist. But now today, Armonic79 has been making these cores, and I absolutely love to see it. Before getting much further involved, and before I harp on the fact that I love this game too much, do me a huge favor right down below, hit like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell like you're trying to hit somebody in this game. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But honestly, I've talked about Warrior Blade more than once on the channel via emulation and every other way you can play it. And it's not like Warrior Blade hasn't been a game we can play in many different ways. It emulates perfectly on MAME, so you could actually just sit down and enjoy this however you wanted. But I've always wanted an FPGA core for this game to get about as close to real hardware as you can possibly get without having to hook up a massively annoying arcade board. And this is just something Taito did a bunch of back in the day. They were trying to innovate in arcades with presentation format, so you had dual screen games like Darius and Darius 2 and Warrior Blade, and you even had 3-screen games where you basically got an aspect ratio that did not exist in any sort of entertainment, but Taito decided, you know what, we can do it. Let's just basically throw every single CRT the factory has in that damn cabinet, and let's run with it. And because this is a beat-em-up, you're going to get some amazingly different levels. You have the horseback that I've already shown you. You have this winged dragon level. And I will say the overall vibes in this game are straight up impeccable. Having to fight the Skeleton King here was basically saying help me the entire time because he wants to die and you have to deliver that death blow for him. While these wraiths just basically turn into skeletons with swords underneath you. Basically feels like Army of Darkness meets Conan the Barbarian in all of the best, most amazing ways possible. And it's one of those things, if I think it's the best doesn't mean you're going to think it's the best, because everyone has a special attachment to certain video games. And I think the main reason I love this is when I was a kid, my dad would put on classic action movies and watch them with me, things that he loved. And when I watched Conan the Barbarian, I learned two very important things. One, I love a good Sword and Sandals epic movie, and two, Valeria in that had absolutely everything a young video game esoteric was very interested in at that moment in life. So something like Warrior Blade here, when I played it maybe like 25 or 30 years ago in arcades, I absolutely fell in love with it, and I knew it was a game that was always going to be one of my favorites. And the best part is it has multiple endings and multiple paths you can take, so this thing actually has a really solid amount of replayability. But I will say the soundtrack from Zuntata may be some of my favorite music ever set to a video game. It is fun, it is charming, it's unique, and it's one of those things I absolutely love it, and I use it in the background for some videos even if I'm actually not talking about Rastan. So I'm going to do the first soundtrack sample here, and I will say, having played this game way too many times, and having heard this track way too many times in my headphones while editing, if there's anything wrong with the audio, I had no idea. So go ahead and listen, I'll be right back with more.
Wahrheit, beschütze mich und bekämpfe den Feind. Wahrheit, Beschütze mich und bekämpfe den Feind.
Ich lösche dich aus.
Now, not only does that audio sound crystal clear in the music, but the actual voice lines I feel like are actually a little bit more clear here in the MiSTer FPGA core than they are on MAME emulation, because I went back and watched my most recent Rastan Saga video, which is probably over 3 years ago at this point in time, and the German wasn't coming out as balanced, and it really is interesting that a Japanese company made a Sword and Sandals beat-em-up epic and decided to go with German as the voice lines, because I don't even know if this game actually came out in Germany, hilariously enough. And with all of the amazing backgrounds, the widescreen aspect ratio, the absolutely straight up huge bosses that are just so damn charming, I just love this game straight up. And honestly, I'm even more excited to play it now, not only because it's on MiSTer FPGA, but news is out there that there's going to be another Conan the Barbarian film called King Conan, and I cannot straight up wait to watch that damn thing. I never thought in this lifetime we'd get another Conan the Barbarian movie. I was actually thinking that they might remake the first one with someone else, which would be fun, but not as good as having Arnold Schwarzenegger in there. But the fact that King Conan is coming back, straight up amazing. And the best part is, in some of the Rastan games, you actually become King Rastan at the end. I know that the developers of King Conan aren't playing these games to get ideas, but it kind of, at least in my imagination, makes it feel like they could be. But of course, this is a video on an FPGA core, and I've definitely gotten off track just talking about my love for this game. I've played it a ton. I played it on real arcade boards, I played it on emulation, and everything here on the MiSTer FPGA core feels flawless. There's absolutely no latency in the controls. I can pull off every single move, and it's not like the game has a ton of them. It just feels natural sitting down and playing Rastan Saga. And I love the wizard you get as well. You get so many hit points on him, and when you hit him, he will do any random number of special attacks so that you can basically get a little bit easier shot in on some of those basic enemies. But the funniest part is about Rastan Saga is that you can basically run past some of the lower level enemies, and if you can get the boss to load in, they will just completely dissolve from the screen. So when this core is out for everyone to play around with, I feel like it will be soon, because this is a preview video. Remember, if you want to try to stay alive longer, sometimes running into the boss loading zone is the best thing you can do. And right here with this boss, this is one of the areas in which the story can actually pivot up, and you can end up on 2 different pathways depending on how you perform here. And that really is fun for something like a simple arcade beat-em-up game, a non-linear storyline, a non-linear level selection screen, and some areas in the game that you might not see on your first, second, or even third playthrough. Warrior Blade Rastan Saga III just legit puts in more content than you expect any other game of its genre in the arcades to have, and I love it for that. Kind of always felt like it was designed to go to a home port, but of course that never happened. But now you don't have to quote-unquote play real hardware arcade boards and deal with the struggle. Now you can play quote-unquote real hardware in MiSTer FPGA. Let's do one more soundtrack zone, because again, I love the music in this game, and I love how understated and simple and effective it can be. So go ahead and listen, I'll be right back.
May power be with you. Hier kommst du nicht lebend heraus. Ich lösche dich aus.
I mean, honestly, the soundtrack and Zuntata soundtracks in general are straight up some of the best music you've ever heard in an arcade game not made by Sega, and it is no different here in Warrior Blade Rastan Saga III. And if I was a rich man, and I am not contrary to some of your guys' beliefs on the comment section, if I had a couple $100 million sitting around, I would call Taito, or at this point in time Square, because that's who owns them, and say, I want to buy the rights to make a film adaptation of Rastan. Because for those of you who don't know, I am a film director and cinematographer, and even though I've never made a feature film before, and probably won't happen because, trust me, it's mostly luck and not actual talent, this would be the type of thing I would make, a live-action Rastan Saga movie based upon the storylines of the games. I think it would work, but again, I'm just fantasizing here because this game is just one of those games. I remember it from the day I played it, and I'll be playing it as long as I can hold a controller. And thanks to Armonic79 for letting me test this one. It'll be out soon, and trust me, you have to play it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.